On this week's episode, Wonder Woman's early returns. How Monster Hunter did a great job of making itself irrelevant. And why no one is talking about the stand. All this and more as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our great shows. And if you can, please give us that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do whatever it is you can do to help support us here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, the Lakers Fast Break, and Game Source, it is truly appreciated. And please want to go ahead and give out some love if you can, and you're interested in daily fantasy sports betting, head on over to our friends at Thrive Fantasy. That's Thrive Fantasy. They're the leader for daily fantasy sports for the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, the PGA, and esports. For all your player props, you just go ahead. If you're interested in daily fantasy sports betting with the player props, use the promo code LFB when you sign up today, and you'll receive an instant deposit match up to $50 on your first deposit of $20 or more. Download Thrive Fantasy on the App Store, the Play Store, or by visiting their website, thrivefantasy.com. Sign up today and prop up with our friends at Thrive Fantasy. Please check your state, though, for availability. All right, it's another great episode on tap, but here today with me to go ahead and wreak havoc upon the PCC Multiverse is my good friend indeed. You got to check him out at Castle with a K FPV on the Twitter and Instagram. It is my good friend indeed. It is Mr. Marcus de la Garza. And Marcus, truly thank you again for being on the show. We are in recovery right now after the info dump from Disney last week. Not only did it cover partially our Friday show, not only did it cover partially our Monday show, but also we had to put so much into it and got so much information out of it that we had to devote an extra PCC episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos on our Pop Culture Cosmos channel now that we dumped on Wednesday, because you know what? Disney dumped a lot of info on us.
They did, and you can never be mad about that. You know, it's one of
No.
yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like we had so much to talk about. Why am I going to not talk about all these things? You know, we did go a little bit long, a little bit
Just a tad.
but it was worth it, wasn't it? Well, I would say it was worth it. Yeah, it was great content. You know, I really enjoyed discussing that with you and Josh. I had to dip out just a little bit early. I think I left about 5-10 minutes early.
Yeah, you're good.
But it was one of those things. It was just like, you know, I was excited to talk about all that. You know, especially when it came to Star Plus, and then some of the Star Wars stuff. I was really, really, really excited to talk about that. And that's one of those things. If people haven't taken the time to listen to it, you know, please take a moment, go back and listen to those 2 episodes. Even the Friday episode as well. I mean, I think we covered a lot of great stuff last week.
Absolutely, my friend. It was a lot of stuff that we did cover for the Disney Investor Day 2020. My gosh, it was such an info dump. I couldn't even believe it. I don't think we've ever even had that much before, even on Comic-Con days with Hall H and the whole thing going down with Marvel. That's just one segment.
Yeah.
This was the entire gambit, and my gosh, it was such an info dump, but I'm glad everybody out there got a chance to listen to it. And if you haven't already, again, our previous 3 episodes with a whole bunch of other stuff thrown in there, including Mass Effect and more, is all right there for you on our last 3 episodes of the Pop Culture Cosmos PCC Multiverse, and a special PCC Extra for you right there. But we've got a great show here today, talking about a lot of great things, including an interview on the back end of the show with John Orlando from the PVD cast. I was fortunate enough to be on his show recently, and he returns the favor by coming on here today on the back end of the show to talk about AEW, All Elite Wrestling, and their march to try and go ahead and compare, beat, or at least, you know what, be on a competing level with the WWE. So we're going to talk about All Elite Wrestling's future, going forward, some of the things that we've liked, some of the things that we didn't like, some of the things that we are looking at when it comes to All Elite Wrestling, and our future hopes for All Elite Wrestling in and of itself as it competes in 2021 with the World Wrestling Entertainment. But also as well, we're going to be talking about a lot of great things on this show, including The Stand. Did you know the Stand series, based off of the book by Stephen King, which was done before in the past as a miniseries, that is actually out on CBS All Access? I bet you didn't know that. And I know a lot of other people didn't know as well. So we're going to be talking about why seemingly no one cares about The Stand. Also, as well, Monster Hunter, the movie, it's now being released all over. In fact, here in the United States, it's been released, and that's another movie that's also made itself irrelevant, but for altogether different reasons. So we'll hit that up. So we'll hit that up as well. Hollywood's reliance on remakes. So we've talked about a lot of remakes going on in the past, and this week, remake after remake after remake after remake has been in the news in Hollywood and the movie and television industry. And we're going to talk about Hollywood's reliance on remakes. I think Marcus is probably going to go on his soapbox because he kind of did on last week's show when we were talking about the info dump for Disney. And he also
I didn't mean to, man. I really didn't
and
mean
he
to.
also
Though.
did again during our Wednesday PCC Extra. You got to hear a little bit of that as well. But we're going to talk about Hollywood's reliance on remakes coming up here in a sec as well. But first, my friend, we're going to be talking about Wonder Woman. The early critical returns are out. Metacritic does have a score. It's right around 66, which kind of looks like, oh, well, it's not as good as the first, la 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 la. You know what? Before you say that, there's a lot of 80s in there. And there's also a low, very low 30 that someone stuck on there right now. There's a couple of negative reviews, but mostly they are positive to very positive reviews. I hope to be seeing the movie in the not too distant future, and I know you are as well. It's already been released at theaters, I think, here actually, if it's not out already in local theaters in the United States, it's going to be very soon, just before Christmas. And on Christmas Day, it's going to be released on HBO Max. So your thoughts on Wonder Woman getting early critical returns that may or may not be quite as good as the original? Are you kind of worried?
Not at all. I've taken the time. I've really read through a lot of the reviews. Variety, Vox, Hollywood Reporter, CNET. It seems like everybody's really been enthused by the movie. The lone reviews that we've had that have been low scores, I'm not going to give them a lot of credibility yet. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to side with them eventually. I will say that we are going to the drive-in movie theater. I think I made a big stink about it last time we went and saw something, but we're going to the drive-in theater December 31st, New Year's Eve, I think, to go see Wonder Woman, which is playing at the Lakeland movie theater here in Florida. So I'm really, really looking forward to doing that, and it's going to be a good time. I think it's going to be a great movie, and everything I've read has been outstanding on it. Christian Wiig serving as one of the characters, Pedro Pascal, the Mandalorian, making his villain debut in this movie to a certain extent. So I'm really excited about it. I don't understand how anybody's throwing any shade at it right now when this is one of the better movies that's probably coming out for 2020.
I'm hoping that it will be, at least when I go ahead and check it out. But we'll wait and see, my friend, how it is going to lay out. But I am going to probably see it before then. In fact, I will be seeing it before then. As soon as I'm available to go ahead and do so, whether it's through the theaters or through HBO Max, I will be seeing it by Christmas Day. That's a rest assured. And I will be able to share our thoughts on it possibly as early as the Monday, not a week from Monday, Pop Culture Cosmos. That's probably when I'll be able to give you a full review on it by then. Not this coming Monday, but the Monday after. But I am looking forward to it. I want to hear your thoughts, though, on its success. How do you gauge the success of Wonder Woman in this environment? I mean, you can't really do it box office dollar because right now, let's say the Croods 2, which has been a pretty good success. It's been actually dominating, and I put that in quotations because we're talking about maybe just a couple $1,000,000 here and there. It actually earned as high as $14 million on one weekend, its first weekend, actually. So I want to ask you this. What is the gauge for you that Wonder Woman 2, aka Wonder Woman 84, is going to be a success this time around?
Infusion into popular culture. That's why we're here, right? No, it's at the end of the day for me. there's a few metrics that you can really look at, and it's going to come down to HBO Max and whether or not they release those. It's how many new subscribers did they have this
Yes.
month? How many of those new subscribers tuned in to watch Wonder Woman 84? Those are the real metrics that are going to show you whether or not this was a successful film and whether or not it's going to be bringing in a ton of money.
Hello,
Uh,
Nancy. Just want to give you a big shout out.
Hi, Nancy.
And then hello,
Good.
Cyrus Patajo. Thank you very much for watching. I'm not exactly sure what you tried to attach to the video, but okay. I think it was like for a one of those you hear click here to go ahead and see something in full HD, and I'm not sure if it was a good thing or a bad thing. So we'll just leave it at that. But go ahead, my friend. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. Nancy, it's always nice to have you with us.
Yes.
But for sure, man, it's going to come down to metrics, and I'm really interested to see how HBO Max brags on the other side of the new year, and comes out and says Wonder Woman did X, Y, and Z for us. We got this many subscribers. We had this many people tune in to watch the movie. We had this many repeat viewers. Those are the things that tell me this is a healthy movie. This is a very good success. And those are the things we need to start looking at in this COVID era, this pandemic era of movie releases. By the time next summer comes around, hopefully we're back in the movie theaters to some extent, whether or not that's full bore or, some sort of halfway. We'll get more traditional returns at that point. But there's other concerns there as well as how many theaters are going to be open, X, Y, and Z, that kind of thing. But I'm really looking forward to it, man. I think if HBO really does a great job, or HBO Max does a great job of marketing itself, they can do it by really pushing their metrics for this movie and how many new subscribers they get.
I certainly hope so, because if they don't do this right, then it could be something that they might reconsider as far as for all the other movies coming to HBO Max, because I'm kind of
Yep.
excited about that because of the current environment that we have. I am very interested to see what the future holds for all these movies coming almost straight to HBO Max in almost every case that's coming out there, all their 2021 releases for HBO Max. Want to go ahead and again thank Nancy Weems for her great comments, and again for watching us each and every week. And of course, we wanted to wish you a safe and happy holiday and a Merry Christmas to everyone out there, including you, especially Nancy Weems, for supporting us so much each and every day, each and every time we go out on the air. Truly appreciate it. But yes, getting back to Wonder Woman, I'm very excited to see Wonder Woman. I'm going to compare it to the original, see how that goes, because I thought the original was pretty good. I thought it had issues, obviously, like a lot of other people, with the I guess the reveal of Ares, and that
Yeah.
wasn't kind of a letdown how that came about. And then also, I did not like the heavy use or heavy borrowage from Captain America, the first Avenger. I think they borrowed liberally from that movie, and I wish they would have tried to stay away from that and create their own movie. But her performance was rock solid, and I really thought that was a core why I enjoyed the movie so much. And I was very surprised that she was going to be able to take that to the extreme, and she did, and then some. And now I just see her as this just superstar that's out there, and I see her carrying this film entirely as well. So I'm very I'm very interested to see how this plays out. Very excited to see Wonder Woman. I'm looking forward to it. Your thoughts on it, actually, as far as before we go ahead and head on to something else. Your final thoughts on Wonder Woman before you get a chance to go ahead and check it out.
Just that Patty Jenkins, director, and Gal Gadot are a wonderful tag
Patty
team.
Jenkins is an awesome director, and I'm so happy she's part of the Star Wars universe now.
Yeah. I just think they're a great tag team, and I really enjoyed the first Wonder Woman. I thought it was a great superhero movie, and it gave a lot of little girls a superhero that they could identify
Yes,
with.
I agree. I
And
agree.
and so just for that alone, it was a very powerful movie, and I'm really looking forward to what Wonder Woman 84 has to offer.
I'm looking forward to it as well. I mean, that and Black Widow. Hopefully, it sends a message that, obviously with Captain Marvel and so many other great female superheroes that have come about because of the DCU and also the MCU. I'm really happy to see where it's taken. My daughters are excited. I know at least my eldest daughter is super excited for Black Widow, and we're all ready to go ahead and check out Wonder Woman. So we'll see what happens. The critical returns, the first returns for it, are pretty good. But we'll wait and see what happens when we all check out Wonder Woman 84 that's coming to theaters. In fact, it should be available probably by the time you hear this, or also as well as if you want to go ahead and check it out, HBO Max this Christmas. And I think the basic litmus test of how well of a success Wonder Woman 84 will not come until I think AT&T, Time Warner start going ahead and telling you the numbers for HBO Max, and will tell you exactly how many subscriptions they get during this period of time leading up to it, right on that day, and shortly thereafter. So I think that's the actual point of what they're trying to do, is get you the subscriptions. They're sacrificing this movie to a straight to video on demand type format simply because they want the subscriptions. It's just plain and simple as that. I know everybody in the movie industry, from directors, producers, actors, are all upset about this going straight to HBO Max, and all the other movies that HBO Max is going to be going ahead and presenting day and date. But it's all about the subscriptions right now for HBO Max, and them catching up to the rest of the field when it concerns Disney Plus and Netflix. You agree? Disagree?
No, I agree. It's it's one of those things. I hate to watch the death of the traditional movie release, but you need to evolve, and this is a great evolution here out of HBO Max.
Yeah, tell that to Legendary, which is thinking about suing for trying to keep Dune off of that day and date format. So I'm hoping.
I don't understand
Well,
that.
I mean, if you're Legendary, I mean, you think
You
you
put a
can
lot of money into it. I get
yeah,
it, but
and you think you can squeeze a little bit of money out. I think by this time next year, a lot of more people will be apt to go to the movie theaters. But HBO Max says they're not gambling on it. They're gambling on you being staying at home. They're gambling on it being another down year. They're gambling on a slow rise and slow confidence and build back into going into the theaters again. I think that's what I'm counting on. I'm not counting on everybody rushing back to the theaters even once they get a vaccine. I think everybody is going to have a slow confirmation or reaffirmation of going back to the movies, but that's going to take time. And I don't really see a huge gain by leaps and bounds until 2022 at the earliest.
just to throw one thing out there, did HBO Max maybe learn from Disney? They knew that they could secure subscribers in that first year as long as they gave great content, and then they saw what happened with Mulan, and they said, "All right, well, we can't charge more for a movie that we're going to release here."
Well, you see right now, you have Netflix at 200 million subscribers.
Right, right, yeah.
And you just heard last week them drop that they're on the verge of getting 90 at Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Obviously, they've done something right with Disney Plus that Disney has not been able to figure out, owning 60% of Hulu, because Hulu can't even meet its expectations, like you said, 12 years in. And at some point in time in the not too distant future, especially with Wonder Woman 84, I think that probably maybe March, April, you're going to see HBO Max pass Hulu on that. And that's the idea.
Easy.
HBO, and that's the
Yeah.
thing with when you're forking over $15 a month for HBO Max, and Netflix, you're forking over $15 a month. That's heavy duty cash you're forking over on a yearly basis. And when you have 200 million for Netflix doing that, and that's something that HBO Max sees. They go ahead and they want to go ahead and be a part of that. So the only way to do that, since they're coming late in the game, is by going ahead and shortcutting it. They're taking this is a shortcut for them.
Yeah.
No two ways about it. This is a shortcut for them to get to become a higher edge player out there, to actually advance itself beyond the Apple Pluses, the Peacocks, which are just starting out, which they're in their infancy. They saw what Disney Plus did to earn itself a lot of viewers quickly, and they're following in that same suit. The only difference is you have to pay a lot more per month on HBO Max. So right now that's what they have to do. If they have to show you premier content and give it to you basically for whatever it is you're paying for monthly, that's what they're doing. Disney doesn't have that luxury, or they feel like they don't have that luxury, because they can go ahead and pick and choose what they want to go ahead and charge and not charge extra. But right now for HBO Max, since they're already paying $15 a month, they feel, you know what, we're just going to go ahead, throw it out there, get the subscriptions, get us up to 75, 80, 90 million by the end of 2021, and there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I don't want to keep going on Wonder Woman too much further,
Yeah,
or down the HBO Max hold too much further, because I think you and I could really talk about this all night, because it really is. I think this is the future of the marketplace, and I could really talk on streaming for hours maybe.
absolutely.
Don't
I'm going to go down that hole
don't
right
get
now.
me.
I'm going to go. Bye, Marcus. I'm going in the hole. Streaming hole. HBO Max hole. Okay, sorry.
All right,
What are your thoughts out there on Wonder Woman's early critical returns? And are you excited, like Marcus and I are, about Wonder Woman 84 coming next week to HBO Max and also coming to theaters if it's not out, or if it's not out already by the time you hear this? We want to hear your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, coming up here in a few minutes, it's going to be John Orlando from the PVD cast. He's going to be talking about a lot of great things about his show and also as well about All Elite Wrestling. But before he does, I wanted to go ahead and hit you up with this. Monster Hunter, my friend, did a great job of making itself irrelevant. Not only is it getting horde reviews, but the fact is that I don't know what was up with Paul Anderson, but why would you actually film a scene when you know this is going to have some type of popularity in China and film a scene where it could be anywhere nearly thought of as offensive as China? Because all it took was one scene for it to be kicked out of China and lose all that cash.
Yeah, that's it's mind blowing to me. It's why would you put yourself in that political position to take yourself out of that many theaters, or away from that many screens, right? Like whether it's
Hello?
yeah, thank you.
Earth to Paul Anderson. I mean, yeah, come on. You made all those movies that made a ton of money worldwide, the Resident Evil movies, and it's earned over $1 billion by
Right.
placating to a certain type of film, to a certain type of audience worldwide, both here in the States and overseas. You basically alienated yourself in creating such a scene, and somebody somewhere should have said, you know what, maybe that's not the best idea.
Well, I mean, where are all the censors that pop up to take everything off the airwaves that apparently is not not funny, or not in good taste? It just feels like the movie studio here just kind of lapsed in their judgment, and really pushing back on a director, and that's really sad to see. You have
Well, this
Mia.
was a country putting back on a
Well, yeah,
director.
but I mean, like, you should have had a movie studio there stopping you from airing a scene like that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, there should have been somebody with a final say that said, no, we don't think this is going to go over well, or hey, can we do a second cut of this movie and release it differently in a different country? I know that's not a very popular thing to say, but it's maybe that's where we're at in this political climate.
maybe that is where we're at in this political climate. But yeah, that was not very smart. And then the movie itself, it's obviously not going to be an Academy Award winner. You realize that,
It's a
but
it's a B-list movie. Let's just call it what it
it's
is.
this is a below B because it's getting absolutely roasted as one of the worst movies of the year. I think that's probably why the movie studio pushed the release date up. They just wanted to get rid of it and out of sight, out of mind. I think any type of success for the movie was just basically blown away by the bad publicity for what they got in China, and now
Yeah,
obviously the
yeah,
bad reviews. People usually take the Resident Evil reviews with a grain of salt. They usually just go ahead, just throw that away and still watch it anyways if they really want to go ahead and do that. And I think that's
right,
what they
right.
were looking for here with Monster Hunter. But I think all the bad press, it's just going to make, now that it's here in America, now that it's being shown in theaters, I think it's just going to make this movie very irrelevant, and no one will really care about this movie. Maybe 3-4 months from now, they won't even know it came out.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I just watched the trailer for this a couple days ago. I saw Ti in it, and I'd have to say this: I do love Ti as a rapper. When I was in high school, I had a few of his CDs. Ti versus Tip, I think it was, came out maybe my freshman year of college, actually. But I mean, great rapper. I don't think he's a great actor. And as soon as I saw his face on the trailer, it was just like, ooh, this is gonna be a rough movie, I think.
They don't sometimes make those type of decisions of bringing in celebrities from other avenues of life, whether it's music, whether it's sports, things of that nature, because they expect them to go ahead and give out a great performance right off the bat. Very rarely do you have that take place. I mean, if you would have, they would have gone. LL Cool J. great rapper, great artist, great actor. I mean, obviously we've seen
It
with
took him time to
Ludacris.
develop into a good rap
Yeah, but
into a good actor, though. Yeah,
Ludacris has done a great job. I mean, there's so many
yeah,
great actors that have that background that you could have gotten, but you decided to go into a different direction that maybe would have not been the best choice for them. But the same
right.
thing with getting a sports star in there who really doesn't have that type of experience. You're just getting it because of the name, because of a reach, because of an audience you think you're going to get. But again, unfortunately, all these things that they've tried are not going to work because this movie is going to become a very irrelevant in a short period of time.
It sounds like it was probably a cash grab on the front end, and it's going to be a huge flop at the box office.
I know how they pitched Sony. I mean, they made $1 billion of the Resident Evil movies between
Yeah,
Mila Jovovich and Paul Anderson. They worked together to make these movies because they're married, and they
yeah.
went to Sony and said, "Well, we're done with Resident Evil. Well, let's work on another video game series, Monster Hunter." And
Yep.
what it does is bring every bit of the good will that video game movies started to have. And I understand Sonic the Hedgehog isn't the greatest movie in the world, but it did earn a lot of cash at the box office before the box office went because of coronavirus. This is the kind of movie that does not do video games very well and puts it back in that that almost like pigeonhole type format that video game movies must be bad. So I'm hoping that whatever comes out next that from the video game genre, Uncharted perhaps, but I have my serious doubts on that. But we'll wait and see. And I've already gone on record why. I'm hoping that the next video game adaptation will be a lot better on screen than what we see Monster Hunter. What are your thoughts out there on Monster Hunter? Let us know. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. But before we head to the break, my friend, I want to go ahead and talk to you a little bit about The Stand. I heard you, I saw you shaking your head. No, when I said, did you know that The Stand came out on CBS All Access and they haven't done a great job of marketing it very much? They put the initial trailer out there a couple months ago and whatnot, but they really haven't done a great job of going ahead and telling everybody, hey, this is what we're doing. To me, it looks like CBS All Access. It's basically a lame duck network at this time because they're going to go ahead and have Paramount Plus come, I think, in January,
Hmm.
if I remember correctly. So I'm just going to tell you this: it is something that they just put it out there, and unfortunately, as we've seen from many movie companies, I think they sent this out to die.
Yeah, that's really rough to see, and it's one of those things. This is a really, really, really popular novel, man. I mean, this is an 1,100-page novel of Stephen King's that people at the time were just walking around with and reading, and they'd sit on the train or on a bus and read this novel. It was really popular, and so just to see it kind of get thrown by the wayside by CBS All Access is it's kind of sad to see.
And the
Um,
miniseries back, I think, in the '90s, if I'm not mistaken, that went over very well. There was a TV miniseries of The Stand that went over very well. In fact, they were shooting
it did.
for a long time. I remember it downtown where some of it takes place here at the Union Plaza. I mean, that's one of the Union Plaza for such a hotel that's how should I say that? Actually, it's called the Plaza now, but it's not exactly the nicest hotel in the world, but yet gets so much pub because it's been on so many movies because of where it's centered at on the downtown Fremont experience right there on the end and the way it looks and has that feel. But it's so funny how that works out, just because of logistics and all that. But I will tell you what, The Stand, if you want to go ahead and check it out, the episodes started up this week. I will actually be thinking, I'm actually going to give it a try. If I have any time during the
You
Christmas
should.
holiday break,
Yeah.
I will go ahead and give it a try. And if I do have any good thoughts on it, I will go ahead and let you know out there on Pop Culture Cosmos Land. But if you have any thoughts on The Stand, are you excited? Have you been starting to watch the first episode? I mean, at this point, are you interested at all at Stephen King's work being remade for television and film? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. And that's something on another day we need to talk about. Is Stephen King's stuff been overdone to the point of irrelevancy where you just don't
Ooh.
care if his work has been, going to be appearing on TV or film or not? I mean, that's something I think I want to get Josh in on too, because that's a huge argument for another day on that one. But yeah, I'm beginning to think that Stephen King adaptation line is not going to be one that's going to get people in any longer. But I hope not. I hope that's going to be something different because he has a lot of great stories. There's been a lot of great adaptations,
Yep.
and I truly think he is going to be considered, if he's not already considered, one of the greatest American authors of our time or any other time for that matter. So I'm hoping his work will continue to get appreciated going forward. But before we head to the half-hour break, my friend, speaking of remakes, I wanted to go ahead and talk to you real quick about all the remakes that came out this week. I know Noe and Fine, our good friend from Honey Queen, who also appeared on the Wednesday episode when we remembered Tiny Lister, he had a comment that he made on our Pop Culture Cosmos Facebook page when we were reporting the news on that news feed. And his response was when I think I mentioned, was it Revenge of the Nerds? No, it was a return to Night Court, a remake of Night Court with
Yep.
John Larroquette. His response was why. I go ahead with you, my friend. Not just Night Court, not just Revenge of the Nerds, not just any one of these remakes. In fact, I could list down a few that have been talked about this week alone. I know you are very upset about this, so it's time to get on your soapbox, my friend, and tell everybody why you're not in love with all these remakes. I mean, we had a ton announced by Disney last week.
Yeah. All right, so this is my 2-minute soapbox.
You got 2 minutes.
Grandstand. Yeah, this is my 2-minute soapbox grandstand here. If you look at, and you've got all sorts of articles on Google. If you just go look at remakes for 2020, remake movies for 2020, you'll find everything you ever need to see here. If you just take a look at some of the top articles, Doolittle for 2020. These are all the movies for 2020 that were remakes. Doolittle, Fantasy Island, The Call of the Wild, Invisible Man, Mulan, Secret Garden, Scoob. I'll give that one a little bit of a pass. And then, I mean, the list goes on and on. Clifford the Big Red Dog. I did not know they were going to do that. Dune hasn't come out yet. It was supposed to be released this year. This is just one of those things. I'm looking for originality here, Gerald, and I don't think I'm getting it. It feels weird to say. It's like we've hit this. It's a lack of creativity to me.
What, you don't want the LA Law remake? Because that's on the way with Blair Underwood.
No, it's not. Is it really?
Yeah, of course.
How did I miss that?
Just go to Variety. You'll see it every day. Just go to the trade papers or go to Facebook and Pop Culture Cosmos, because you will see updated remakes in an offering. Revenge of the Nerds, Fantasy Island. If you like the movie, a TV series is coming soon near you.
Yeah, I don't understand why we're doing this nonstop, though, man. We're at this point now where, we're relying on these previously affluent franchises to carry us, right? And I understand that some of these movie studios are looking for safe bets in a 2020 pandemic world where there's no safe bets, right? Like, you're looking for something that's going to be a box office hit, not even a box office hit, something that's going to carry enough viewership to make it worth your while to produce something. And so I think a lot of these studios are, and really, if you want to push back 2 or 3 years, I can't give an excuse for 2019, 2018, 2017. But I can tell you in 2020, the remake is a very safe bet.
It is a safe bet. Financially, and that's the problem. Ultimately, people are going there. They see the Fresh Prince. Obviously, that's been over. They see what else is going on Peacock as far as, I mean, come on. There's Peacock is the home of remakes that are going on right now.
Yeah,
I mean, we've seen a lot of things that are going on there, and it's just Stay by the Bell. I mean, right there.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna. Yeah, it's why are we doing all these remakes, man?
People watch them. It depends on what they watch. It depends on the remake. Now, mind you, you and I are excited about a Dune remake.
We are excited about
Coming to America. We're excited about that when it hits Amazon here in March, I believe, because they were showing the first photos from that. I'm excited for that, or the sequel, I should say. It's a sequel, but yes, it's still in that mind frame. They're going back to it. Borat 2 was a sensational success. So sequels and remakes, they're all going to be part of Hollywood's vision going forward because they're safe bets than just doing original IPs.
Here's my rule moving forward for all the remakes: just be better than than your predecessor. It feels like we've had times where we've had remakes come in and it's just like same movie, different storyline slightly. I want to be blown away. Let's put a 20-year gap between your predecessor and the remake. Let's put a 30-year gap. Whatever it is, let's put some time between it. So the whatever it is, the CGI is 10 times better, 100 times better, 1,000 times better. The writing's just better, the acting's better. We've had a lot of things that have really, I don't want to say evolved, but really have gotten better over the last 20 or 30 years. So let's push the timeline back and go further out, because I'm just not happy with where we are right now.
So in 10 years, when you get The Expanse and a Ted Lasso remake, you're going to go ahead and be excited for that?
I'm probably going to be like the original Battlestar Galactica fans that just hated the 2000 series. So yeah, no, probably not going to like the remake of The Expanse in 10, 20 years, whenever that happens. Ted Lasso, honestly, Gerald, those jokes could last for centuries. So yeah, let's go ahead and remake that one.
Again, I'm so glad that you're enjoying it. I'm so glad that it's getting the acclaim that it is and popularity that it is. I wish I could have been one of them. Unfortunately, I'm not.
I really wish you would have been one of them too, man, because it's and even that's a remake, right? Like, if you really want to cut down to it, that was a remake of a character that he played for a commercial for NBC Sports, man. Like, it's that's not original content, but it is to a certain extent. I mean, they didn't have all that backstory, they didn't have everything that went with it. I was very happy with Ted Lasso, and we can talk about it at length. But I know.
Well, I know that's going to be on your 10 best lists, because we're going to the next 2 weeks. The next 2 episodes of the PC Multiverse and Pop Culture Cosmos, a great deal of it is going to be devoted to the best of 2020.
Yep.
So I have a feeling Ted Lasso for you is going to be somewhere in that program.
Number one, baby.
Well, we'll see. Don't give it away just yet on where you think it is. But yes, definitely in the next 2 episodes of the PC Multiverse. In fact, the next 2 weeks of Pop Culture Cosmos episodes, you're going to be hearing the best of 2020 from us, right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. But what are your thoughts out there on all these remakes? Are you excited by them? Because I listed off quite a few in our conversation, and there's many more that you just go ahead and you need to check out each and every week at the Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. You'll see an entire list of this being remade, this coming back, that coming back. What are your thoughts out there on all the remakes that are coming to Hollywood via TV, movie, or what have you? Share your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, coming up next, we've got a great guest indeed. It is John Orlando from the PVD Cast. He's going to be talking some All Elite Wrestling coming up here. His thoughts on All Elite Wrestling heading into 2021, its future, and can it compete on a regular basis with the WWE? We're going to hear his thoughts on that and so much more. This is coming up right after the break. This is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with the program. It's Gerald Glasser coming right back at you here at the PCC Multiverse. I want to thank so much John Orlando for being part of today's show. Please check out, once again, the PVD Cast wherever you get your podcasts. Going to have a lot of great things coming up again in the next 2 weeks, because we're going to be covering the best of 2020 on our next 2 weeks of episodes on the Pop Culture Cosmos and the PCC Multiverse. So I'm looking forward to that. But before we head on out, my friend, I'm going to go ahead and ask you this. AEW, I just spoke about it with John Orlando from the PVD Cast. All Elite Wrestling has done a great job this month, earlier, obviously bringing back Sting, doing the thing with Kenny Omega, getting the World Championship, and obviously aligning himself with Impact Wrestling and Don Callis, and doing the thing where they're going from Mexico to Impact to going ahead and basically showcasing his skills and possibly even earning more world championships than what he has already. I think he's the AAA in Lucha Libre, and also as well, obviously the AEW world champion at this point in time. But I think there's obviously more in the offering for Kenny Omega and his character. I want to hear your thoughts, though. The WWE has to breathe a sigh of relief because of the fact that they were not able to sustain the ratings. The ratings just dropped earlier today for this week, and they did drop about 19 to 20% on the ratings, so they could not manage to stay right around the million mark. They're still around 800,000, which is still good for a show of its size, its type, and its makeup. And I'm sure TNT is still happy about that. But not being able to sustain its 2-week bump up in ratings, I'm not sure if that's a sigh of relief. I'm not sure if that's a sigh of relief for the WWE or a Of concern for AEW.
I would put the onus on the sigh of relief for the WWE there. I'm looking at the numbers here, and I might have incorrect numbers, but it said what I've got here is AEW had 806,000 viewers this week.
Yeah, but
Uh,
last week they had close to 1 million.
and that's cool, but they still they had more viewers than NXT at the end of the day,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah. I understand they're facing up against NXT, but I think that they're looking at a larger picture. I don't think that they look at themselves and competing against NXT as I think they do see NXT as competition, but I think that once you start getting up in that close to 1 million range, and remember they started out at almost 1.5 million over their initial episode, and
Right.
it flattened out from there. They're looking at a bigger picture at how they can compete with the WWE, which many other organizations have tried to before, but this is probably the first sustainable test since World Championship Wrestling.
Yeah, no, it's definitely one of those things where I think the WWE is breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief there. It's AEW is doing a great job as far as promoting their content, writing great content. I mean, that's at the end of the day, they're bringing viewership in, and it's got to be content related. And I don't want to say it's wholly content. I think sometimes you got to look at the talent they're bringing in as well. Including Sting over the last 3 weeks has been great for their viewership numbers. It's really bumped up everything that they're doing there. I don't want to put all of that on him, but I think it's brought an energy back to AEW that they had for their first episode or two.
And I also think the gimmick, as they say in the business, of
Yeah.
Kenny Omega actually going ahead and becoming that touring champion, going to those smaller promotions and showing off there and aligning himself with individuals outside of the realm of AEW is kind of like a good thing in this case. Kind of questioned it at first, and you actually, that's what I talked about John Orlando. I was wondering what
Yeah.
AEW's motivation was, but I can clearly see that trying to gain interest and buzz, I think at this point in time in 2020, social media, the whole 9 yards, is something that you continually want to go ahead and search for. And I think this is probably the reason why they wanted to go ahead and do it from their end. Obviously, from the other guy's end, from Impact, AAA, or whatever, they're interested because they're not as successful right now, and they're looking at this AEW and they want to be a part of it and they want to attach themselves to it and get the rub. But yeah,
Yep.
for AEW, I have a feeling it's just the notoriety and the fact that they want to become a buzz factor by where Kenny Omega, where's he heading next?
Yeah, and that's just looking at that alone, this is a marketing team, and maybe it's not only the marketing team, but this is a great move by AEW. Aligning yourself with all these smaller brands, you're grabbing all their fans, you're bringing that viewership in, and while it might not be translating to direct success right now this week for these numbers, over time, this is a really great association to make. And John Orlando, talked. I'm sure talked about that at length. So we'll have some more things to talk about over the next 2 or 3 weeks. No, because they're off, aren't they, for the next 2 or 3 weeks? We'll have some things to talk about over the at the beginning of the new year with AEW and what they're doing with their show, and it'll be fun to see where their talent moves next year. Their talent pool should be growing, and it will be growing, and it's going to be what's going to bring more viewership to them.
What are your thoughts out there on All Elite Wrestling's, I guess, future, or All Elite Wrestling's future in 2021? Do you think at some point in time they can compete on an even level with the WWE now or in the future? We want to hear your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, it's been a great episode, my friend. I cannot thank you enough for being part of it. But before we head on out, I know you wanted to talk some Expanse, so go ahead. I know you've gotten an early taste of the Expanse with a ending in the not too distant future planned for the Expanse. I think one more season, if our conversation, I think if I can recollect and remember it correctly, I think it was one more season beyond
Yep.
this. What are your thoughts on how it's starting out for the final episodes for the Expanse?
I'm really excited about what I've seen thus far. With the first 2 episodes, the production quality is outstanding. What we saw last year out of Amazon Prime was a lot of time on planet. We didn't see a lot of time in ship, and that's a lot of what we've gotten out of the first 2 episodes of The Expanse this season. It's
Uh,
been one of those things. It's been. Oh, go ahead, Gerald.
no, go ahead. That's good to hear because you're always worried about how's it going to lay out. I know Amazon, talking about the second season of The Boys, really ramped up its production value, and that's what a lot of people were really excited about because they were worried about where The Boys was going to go after such a great season one. And I think it only got better for the most part simply because of the fact that it looks like Amazon is spending a lot more money in it.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with The Expanse as what happened with The Boys. You know, it just feels like the production quality went up, and maybe it's just because they've had a year under their belt to keep working on the sets that they have and kind of keep further developing that vision. You know, it's been really fun to watch. We're getting some character storylines that you weren't expecting to have, probably. Having read through the book series, I keep waiting to see the next big thing, and the next big thing is going to shock people. So I think these first 3 episodes, if I'm guessing correctly, aren't going to have the next big shock, but maybe episode number 4, number 5 are going to have have the shock that everybody's waiting for this season.
Well, definitely looking forward to seeing what The Expanse has to offer. I know Marcus is as well. If you're
Yep.
excited about The Expanse, let us know. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. My friend, it's been a great episode. I cannot thank you enough, as always, for being a part of it. Want to give a big final shout out to our good friends at Retro City Games, where we're streaming right now to. Hopefully, everyone out there can go ahead and check out all the great sales that they're doing all the way up to Christmas right there at Retro City Games. Keep looking out on their Facebook and also Instagram for their ads. Seemingly every day they've got a new one popping up, so got to go ahead and refresh. So check out all the great deals that they have at Retro City Games there at Las Vegas and Henderson in Nevada. Also, as well, want to give a big shout out to Summer Tucker for liking our video. We cannot thank you enough for doing so. But my friend, that time again, time to head on out. Looking forward to my Monday conversation with Mr. Josh Peterson, where we talk the latest and greatest of pop culture. 2020, the best of, coming right around the corner. I will have some interviews. I'm lining up a lot of great interviews with Ryan John Tabasco for Best of Wrestling. Got my good friend Jessica Boggs. I'm trying to get a time and place for her to go ahead and talk about the best of TV. Any last thoughts on the way out? And are you excited to be talking about the best of 2020 coming up here on the next few episodes?
Yeah, man. It's I'm sorry you cut out there for a second for me, but I'm really looking forward to talking these topics and really covering these TV shows and going in depth for you, because I have a lot to say about Ted Lasso, and I know you're really excited to hear it.
I am super excited to hear it. Yay! No, I'm just kidding, my friend. I'm happy for you about Ted Lasso. I'm really happy for you. I don't feel I just because I don't personally enjoy something as much as I would like to. That doesn't mean I'm not excited for you any less.
Yeah, and I did tease that like Ted Lasso might be my number one, but let's be honest, people should know what my number one is for 2020.
People should know, but there's also, we're going to be doing movies. We're going to be doing video games, the best
We
of.
are.
We're going to be doing a whole bunch of things in the next 4 episodes. So the next 2 weeks with episodes from the Pop Culture Cosmos and the PCC Multiverse. So please stay tuned wherever you get your podcasts to the Pop Culture Cosmos and find out what we're thinking of for the best of 2020, or wherever you get this show on radio or podcast worldwide. So for Marcus De La Garza, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. Thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great and happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah.